Hey there everyone, Video Game Cabinet here, and tonight we are back with a review of Silent Hill F for PlayStation 5. This has a reversible cover. I put the inside on the outside because I liked it a little bit better. But as for my review, Silent Hill F is the latest entry in the famed survival horror series, releasing for PlayStation 5 in September of this year. Over the last week and a half, I've played through the campaign several times on the default settings, story for action, hard for puzzles, to unlock all 5 endings. Silent Hill F boasts the disturbing atmosphere and brain-teasing puzzles the series is known for, but dramatically switches up the setting, lore, and combat from what Silent Hill fans are used to. Most of these changes work great, even if some of the story beats resonate more than others. Silent Hill F's combat features a lot of changes to what we have seen in the series before, and I personally enjoyed everything about it. There are no more guns, so you only use melee weapons such as pipes, bats, and knives. There is also a dodging and stamina system, so timing your moves and conserving your energy is key to defeating enemies. To me, it feels like a fun mix of Rule of Rose and a Soulsborne title. I may be in the minority here, but I actually liked the melee combat in Rule of Rose. And managing Silent Hill F's new stamina gauge adds an extra layer of tension to fighting the monsters, unless you choose to just run past them, which is a completely valid option in survival horror. Furthermore, I found the weapons durable enough that it took longer than I expected for them to break before having to repair them or find new ones. I admire what the game designers did here with Silent Hill F's combat, and I think the new fighting system is a very good fit for this entry. As for the story, Silent Hill F follows Hanoko as she wanders through the fungus-infested village of Episugoka, set in 1960s Japan. Multiple playthroughs on New Game Plus are essential to understanding the events that take place here. The story did not make any sense to me at all upon reaching the first ending, Coming Home to Roost, but certain bits of dialogue are changed in subsequent playthroughs that divulge more detail on exactly what is going on. The second and third endings, Fox's Wedding and The Fox Wets Its Tail, as well as extra documents you find along the way, make everything much more clear by the time the story reaches its ultimate closure in the fourth ending, Epsugoka in Silence. The fifth ending, The Great Space Invasion, is merely an inside joke for series fans and has nothing to do with the canon story. Silent Hill F's narrative touches on difficult subject matter regarding family drama, a wife's role in marriage, and a daughter's resentment towards her parents. And I love that. I just wish there was more of it. Much of the story ties into Japanese mythology having to do with foxes, and these plot points were harder to relate to on a personal level. It was still interesting, but not as powerful as the best stories I have seen from the psychological horror genre, namely Rule of Rose and Silent Hill 2. My favorite ending in Silent Hill F was Ending 2, Fox's Wedding, which ends on an intimate and genuinely haunting note. But the third and fourth endings, Fox Wets Its Tail and Epsugoka in Silence, lean into the fantastical elements of the story much more, and it did not quite satisfy what I was ultimately looking for in a deep psychological horror title. Silent Hill F still delivers an absolutely chilling experience with photorealistic graphics, grim environments, and grotesque abominations terrorizing you behind every corner. I appreciate the changes made to the combat and setting, and solving the environmental puzzles is just as fun as it was in classic Silent Hill titles. I just wish some of the revelations and conclusion to the story were a little more accessible and rooted in reality. I rate Silent Hill F an 8 out of 10. And that is my review. Yeah, this one was ultimately very good. I almost wanted to go 8.5. I would have rated it, I'll tell you, it would have gotten probably a 9 or a 9.5 if the story had more rooted in reality with the themes about family drama and some other stuff. Like not so much the Japanese mythology, which it really starts going into in endings 3 and 4. Um, Ending one, I didn't know what was going on. It was kind of cool, like the vibe and everything, but I couldn't understand the story. But once you start New Game Plus for the first time, and ultimately unlock Fox's wedding, which is ending two, the story makes a lot more sense. And then certain things happen. Certain things are revealed when you unlock ending three that really lean into the Japanese mysticism, and even more so in ending four. So ultimately, that wasn't, it was interesting, but it wasn't. It didn't end up being as great to me as something like Silent Hill 2 or Rule of Rose, which are very much, they are like a lot of horror and fantastical stuff going on, but it's very much rooted and grounded in real life psychology and psychological problems and relatable trauma in those stories. There's some of that here, but there's also a lot of stuff with the Japanese mysticism and foxes and animals and stuff like that. And I don't know, that wasn't as powerful or relatable to me. Still interesting, but ultimately, pretty good, very good, but not great. Like Rule of Rose or Silent Hill 2. But anyways, so I guess what more is it that we can go into some spoiler discussion? Stop here. I'm going to put a timestamp on this, or I'm going to write in the title what time this ends up being. But this is your warning. We're going to go into full spoilers here because I want to discuss a little bit more about, what I liked about the game but didn't necessarily love about the story specifically. The gameplay, real quick, yeah, the combat, I thought it was great. I know some people have problems with it. I liked the mix of melee combat, Rule of Rose style, with Dark Souls, the stamina meter. I thought it was cool. It worked for me. I didn't mind the breaking weapons. They didn't break too often. I was able to repair them. I played on, what was it, story setting for combat, so maybe that made it a little bit easier. I didn't put it on hard or harder settings, but anyways, so yeah, without further ado, we're gonna go into story spoilers now. So this is your warning. Shut it off if you haven't played it. But okay, so yeah, like I said, once I reached ending one, that ended really abruptly, so I didn't know what was going on, but I'm like, okay, let's start New Game Plus. And then I start to figure out that, okay, the dad is in debt, and that you later find out that he's in debt because he went into business with a friend of his that skipped town or something. You read that in a journal somewhere, and I think the mom talks about it in a flashback. But so he's a very stressed out and abusive towards his daughters and wife over this. But he plans an arranged marriage with Hanoko, the youngest daughter. He sets her up with an arranged marriage to get himself out of debt, get the family out of debt. He thinks it's the right thing to do. This is interesting stuff. But so a lot of family drama. This is really good so far. And then ending two is really chilling, where she ends up marrying the guy, but you see again, major spoilers here. It ends with a shot of her face cut off or something, and saying, "I don't want to be like my mom," because she resents her mom for how like submissive and subservient she was to her father, the husband, and she's like, "I'm scared to be like my mom," and then this foot smashes the face, and it's really chilling and scary and psychological and disturbing and haunting, and it's beautiful and it's great. And I was thinking, whoa, this, if they keep up this pace with the extra playthroughs and endings and extra scenes, this could get a 9. I don't know, maybe higher. I mean, this is really good. But then ultimately, so anyway, on the third playthrough, to witness the third ending, you find out that the rich suitor that's going to get the family out of debt is is a fox guardian, or I guess it's a guy possessed by a fox or something. Very tied into Japanese mythology. I guess they really, see foxes as mystical creatures. Okay, I mean, a little bit interesting, but ultimately not as satisfying as I hoped. This is very obscure Japanese mythology. And there's a lot of grotesque scenes in the first playthrough where Hanoko is like cutting off her arm and cutting off part of her face and getting branded and then having like a fox mask put on and a fox arm. And it's very effective for how gory and horrific it is when she's cutting off her own arm there. But and that's cool, but like what it leads to, that like the suitor is a fox guardian. I mean, like I said, interesting, but not as powerful to me as some of the other subjects touched on, or Silent Hill 2 or Rule of Rose. But yeah, and then let's see. And then ending 4 goes even more into Japanese mysticism and stuff with, I guess there were 2 Hanokos, one in this like dark world, dream world or whatever, and then another one in the real world. But like I guess that was split personalities. Okay, her choosing which fate she's going to go with, whether to marry the guy or not. But then they're both present in reality at the end of ending 4, and I guess they both choose to go their own way. But like, so there was a split personality before, fighting against itself, and now there actually is 2 Hanokos in the living, breathing world. That was a little bit too much for me. Not rooted in reality enough. I don't know. But, that's just what I thought. It's interesting, but not as powerful as the best in the deeply psychological horror genre, that I'm looking for. But yeah, ultimately though, like I said in my review, it's a chilling experience with photorealistic graphics and backgrounds and really, really good combat that I liked. And again, more, fun puzzles, brain teasers that you've seen from previous games in the series, or at least the ones that I've played. I think I've only played 1, 2, and 3, and the 2 remake out of Silent Hill series. I didn't play any of the other ones, but yeah, so yeah, those are my thoughts. I think an 8 out of 10. I almost went 8.5, but I think I'm going to go strong 8 out of 10 on this one. I think that's what it deserves. It's a very good game, but it's not quite perfect. Certain story beats don't quite hit home for me the way that I wanted them to, or the way that other subject matters that it was touching on looked like they were going to, but they lean more into the Japanese mythology stuff towards the 3rd and 4th ending, and the 4th ending is the true ending. So I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Full spoilers at the end there. But yeah, that's my review. Those are all my thoughts on Silent Hill F, 8 out of 10. And have a good night.